Ohio State football preseason camp starts Thursday. Today is Wednesday. We're watching some guys work out behind us. Tomorrow they will be outside of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center getting preseason camp started. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com along with Stephen Means, and today we talked to Ryan Day and everybody in the quarterback room, or at least all the non-freshmen in the quarterback room. That was Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, Tristan Gebbia, and talked to Ryan Day about this process that is still unfolding. And while McCord has been through it, Brown is going through it for the first time, but Day has been through it too, and not just as a coach, having to pick Dwayne Haskins in 2018 or help make that decision. Justin Fields in 2019, C.J. Stroud in 21, and obviously he said this is a very different situation. But he's been through it as a player too, and he was at New Hampshire having to compete for a job, and he said that went 3 weeks into preseason camp, went until the last scrimmage, and then once he got the job, he kept the job, even though there were some struggles during the season. Stephen, when he was describing how he went through it, what lessons do you think he gleaned from that he can or should apply to what's about to happen for Ohio State?
I think he's applied them before, honestly. It wasn't 3 weeks in, and it wasn't the last scrimmage, but it was the second one when CJ won the job. It was the second one when he announced Justin Fields was finally the starter. So I think he's already been applying it, and he's giving us the tea leaves of how this is going to work out here. Now, someone still has to emerge and actually take the job, but in his mind, the last few times he's done this, but also when he went through it himself, midway to the back end of fall camp is when he would like somebody to make a decision, when you've had a couple of scrimmages under your belt, and you can see, even if they can't get hit, what it might look like on a game day.
He still talks about being open to, hey, maybe we have to play both these guys to start the year. I don't believe for a second that's what he wants to do. I think he wants a guy in place. I think he wants a separation to happen. And as much as he wants it to be organic, I'd be really surprised if this went into the season, especially because you're starting with a Big Ten opener. But one of the things he talked about today I think will also be important, and it's not just the process to make the decision, it's what happens then, because Tim May asked him about, you started off that year and you threw like 8 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. It didn't go great early on, and they admitted, like, I was trying to do too much, and that's how you get in trouble. And he might have to remember that perspective as the season gets started, both in terms of trying to guide both McCord and Brown through potentially the same nerves, the same inclinations, but then also being the coach who maybe has to stick with your decision, because there was a lot of talk today about how the whole roster has to buy into this. And I've seen coaches before, when you've got two guys who are pretty close, you want to play the hot hand, you want to go back and forth, and I don't think, again, that is something that Ryan Day wants to do. I think he wants to be able to pick a guy who is the guy and have this whole roster kind of rally around them.
And we'll get more into this on Buckeye Talk, so check that out as well. But the talent is the talent. You're not here if you're not talented. This is about who can gain the team, almost in a way. We heard a lot of talk about leadership today, and to the point of with Ryan Day needing to be patient with his quarterback. He did mention the C.J. Stroud Georgia game. He mentioned the Justin Fields Clemson game, the Dwayne Haskins Maryland game. Those were games at the end of the season. That's not how those guys looked week one. In fact, we were in here 2 years ago asking Ryan Day questions about, hey, maybe you should look at another guy because C.J. didn't look great. Now, there's context of he had the shoulder thing, but also just a brand-new starting quarterback trying to figure it out there. He even admitted halfway through the Minnesota game at halftime, he's thinking, I don't know yet. I don't know what we're getting ourselves into here. So, once again, another thing, he's been through this. He understands that through those first 4 weeks, you can't panic if they don't look like a Heisman Trophy finalist, first-round NFL draft pick on day 4 or week 4. It's probably going to take to the end of the season. So what matters most is, one, they're going to get comfortable whoever you pick, but does the team buy in? As he said, does the team believe in whoever they pick? And I think that's where you'll start to see somebody create separation, because it seems like from an on-field perspective, things seem very close.
Day, also having been through this, has the perspective of what matters to a quarterback. And he talked today in 2021 how much time they spent in preseason camp in the days leading into that first game at Minnesota, how much time they spent on just the first play that C.J. Stroud was going to run, because they thought it was that important that the first play be successful and kind of help him get his feet under him and build from there. And I think that's a reminder that for a guy who was a Heisman Trophy finalist at the end of the season and was the favorite going into Week 12 that year, how much they had to kind of baby step him almost into that first play. And that's not a knock against Stroud in any way. I think that's Day's perspective as a quarterback who's been through this, both as a player and now as a coach in several capacities, of how important it is to start things off with a success. And I think that's going to inform maybe some of the things that we see on the field. September 2nd at Indiana, as Steven said. Listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you can find podcasts and get the text, 614-350-3315. Today is an amazing day to start that. This is a 2-week free trial, and that'll take you through the first 2 weeks of preseason camp. You can try us out at Buckeye Talk.